what you hear, and then we traverse to those folks who are standing by in Zoom, have the discussion, and we'll have some interaction, but you'll be able to stay as long as you want or can. So once again, tomorrow, good morning to everyone. You're locked on to WINNFM 98.9 on the FM dial, and it's another episode of Zoom. So Miss Lisbeth.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Jana Elizabeth, and I'm excited to be here. I think Socrates is trying to kidnap me for the whole day, but I'll stay as long as I can and discuss the issue of cultural preservation.
That is so wonderful. I know you have a lot to share with us. And hearing from, let's say the other half, you're not the other half, you're out part of the whole of the Federation. There are lots of stuff because as a tour guide on St. Kitts, I come to a certain point and I speak about one of the important point of interest on Nevis. Are we going to Alexander Hamilton? I know there's a lot more that you have to offer in terms of the Nevis, the cultural development, the perspective. That comes in full blast from you in a few minutes. Let's see where we are in terms of the folks from the Department of Culture. I'm told there should be a short 5 minutes presentation, but then we have Ms. Tonisha Millington, Assistant Research and Document Specialist. We have the Intangible Heritage Secretariat, Joachim Harvey, he's acting manager, and of course, shall I introduce Marlene Henry? Everybody was Marlene. They're all standing by to make a presentation. So for the folks on Zoom who are logged on to this program and want to make the presentation, I don't know who's first, but the mic is yours.
Good morning, King Socrates.
I know the voice.
I'm glad you can hear me. This is Marlene Phillips.
Yes.
The Research and Documentation Specialist at St. Kitts Department of Culture. I want to say good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of our listeners all over the world. It's a pleasure to be here to participate in this discussion of preservation of culture in St. Kitts.
Beautiful, beautiful. And now we have the Miss Nisbet who will be speaking about the same thing from the Nevis
end.
Beautiful. And who else do we have on the line?
Okay, Tashiela and Jacqueline. If you want to introduce yourselves, ladies.
Hey, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm Tashiela Millington, and I'm currently the Assistant Research and Documentation Specialist at the Department of Culture.
Splendid. Who do we have next?
Hello, good morning. My name is Jacqueline Harvey. I'm the Intangible Cultural Heritage Secretariat here at the St. Kitts Department of Culture.
Okay. The fact that you're via Zoom, we're going to open the discussion with you. Have you make a presentation. You know, technology can get all sideways. And then we go into a more detailed discussion with Ms. Nisbet. But we can pose questions, discuss the whole thing between St. Kitts and Nevis and how our development of culture preservation is progressing. So once again, the mic is still yours.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, King Socrates. Good morning. I know we're only here for a brief moment, but I could talk and take up the whole program.
I know
I'm
that.
Try and minimize my chat to the most important things. The topic, preservation of culture, I just want to share with you how St. Kitts Department, what we are doing to help the preservation of culture. Within the department, we have a team of specialists. We have a music specialist, a dance specialist, and a drumming specialist. And then we have the research and documentation unit. And within the research and documentation unit, we have the ICH Secretariat St. Kitts Living Heritage, which is a new addition to St. Kitts Department of Culture at the end of our ICH project that ended last year, a 2 years program which Ms. Harvey will shed some light on.
Beautiful.
Basically, I'm going to speak about the research and documentation unit within the Department of Culture. What we try to do is find different programs, different ways to preserve culture by reaching out to the community, partnering with the community. We research topics of culture that have to do with the history and heritage of St. Kitts and sometimes Nevis. And we make those records available for people who want to research, or people that have, young people sometimes come to us looking because they have SBAs to do and reports to write, and they're looking for content about culture. So we have a website that we've created. It's culture.gov.kn. And on that website, you will find a lot of the different outlets and resources that we have. We're on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, SoundCloud. I don't know if you recall a popular program that we had in the beginning of culture, Under the Banyan Tree.
Correct.
Yes, by our good friend who unfortunately has passed,
Rastamboro Kitwana.
That's
Jerry
right.
Mopstick.
And yes, Jerry Mopstick, as you would know from the music industry. And he worked at Department of Culture in the RDU, and he used to go out into the field and research and he was a walking wealth of knowledge and would talk to people in the community and write about all the wonderful things that people have done to contribute to culture, whether it's in the dance form, spoken word form, crafts, etc. And so we took all of those archives, and it's not just him that wrote it, but other officers within Department of Culture, and we made those documents available, and they're actually posted online. We have a site that is a part of Flickr. It's Flickr, FLICR.com/photos/St. Kitts Culture. And if you go to the albums section, we have scanned a lot of those records and put them up so that the public can, if they're doing research and they want to find out about history, heritage, food, or biographies about people who have contributed to culture in the community, that information is there and readily available. We use our Facebook page to post any current activities that we've been involved in. We have a lot of activities that we do. In terms of an annual calendar of events, we do have some things that we focus on every year. There's something called Community Outreach, which is hosted by our drumming specialist, Roy Phipps. Roy Phipps. I know you want to marry us off, but I'm so But he has we do community outreach, and that he organizes amazingly out in the community. We've had it for a number of years. It's appeared in Newtown Village, Central Basse-Terre, Cayon, St. Paul's, and this year, actually next week, Thursday, February 24th,
and Sandy Point.
PM, it will be in Sandy Point.
There you go.
And basically what happens is the Department of Culture shows up. Roy organizes collaborations with art forms in the community, and we do a presentation, a musical presentation, and share information about the culture and just entertain the community for an hour or two. So if you're in the neighborhood, make sure to come by at 5 o'clock.
I've actually been invited to participate.
Well, you better show up, because now the whole world knows you're committed, right? Some of the other activities that we have annually, Heartbeat. Heartbeat is a drumming presentation or recital that happens in June, and actually it is 20 years old. Again, spearheaded by Roy Phipps. He has been doing this for 20 years, and part of I think the process, or how we help preserve culture, is that him and his colleague, Siobhan Matthews, they go out into the schools and they teach the drumming art form, the djembe drum, not percussion, but the djembe drum. And they teach that to people in the high school, or young children in the high school, and then that recital culminates in June. So they go to Irishtown Primary, Beach Allen, Tucker Clark. A new private school added this year is Seventh-day Adventist. They also do Vassar High School, Cayon Primary, and Sadler's Secondary. Another annual event that we have is something called Pan in Splendor that happens in August, usually at the Flow Grounds. And we have our music specialist, Nelto Wilkin, who teaches steel pan lessons to children in the school. Again, he visits Newtown Primary, Dr. William Connor, Cotton Thomas Comprehensive, Vassar High School, Edgar T. Morris, and Seventh-day Adventist. And then that recital culminates at the Flow Grounds in August. And that program, the educational in-school program, started in 2015. Another annual event that we have is something called Independence Fiesta, which actually kicks off Independence celebrations in September every year. And that is organized by our dance specialist, Marcia Jeffers, in collaboration with Roy Phipps. And then in October, there's an event called the Night of the Arts, which again is spearheaded by Marcia Jeffers, our dance specialist. And then a final activity that we have is in the spirit of Christmas, which happens in December. Yeah, so those are our annual events that we definitely have every year, regardless of what happens. There's so much more that we do, but I'm going to leave it at that. And I'm going to, if you allow us to talk, I will ask my colleague, Jacqueline Harvey, to speak about ICH, or we can field some questions. It's up to you.
Okay, let me get a word from Ms. Nisbet in the meantime, or counterparts from Nevis, as to what the programs are like over there, and then we'll have a cross chat. We'll hear from Ms. Millington, Ms. Harvey next. So let's hear a presentation from Ms. Janelle Nisbet.
On the Nevis end, it sounds very similar to what is being done here in St. Kitts. From the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, we tend to focus more on protecting the built heritage and our built culture as well. And we were partners in the Intangible Cultural Heritage project that took place last year. So generally when these projects are spearheaded by the Nevis Cultural Development Foundation, we would partner with them so that we're not reinventing the wheel and all doing the same thing. And just try to help keep the culture alive. In terms of the NCDF, they go into the schools as well with the drumming, steel pan, dance.
And the what was it, acronym?
NCDF.
Which is?
Nevis Cultural Development Foundation.
Beautiful.
Yes.
Okay.
I'm not an employee there, but we do partner with them quite often. And so I can share that they do that similar work to preserve the culture from a school perspective, because you know that the best way to keep culture alive is
at
actually
the very earliest age, incorporate those young minds.
Integrate them.
What is the interest level like, generally?
I think the interest level is there definitely, from children to adults. I myself recently, I can't keep track of the years anymore, but I think it was 2020, joined the Steel Pan group. So you can tell that even adults now are seeking ways to help promote and keep the culture alive. A lot of times we get too busy with our everyday lives, but...
That is correct. That's what I was hearing, because those who figure, well, it's something to do when you have nothing else to do.
Right.
And to others, it's actually the focal point of taking the people forward through culture and embracing the intangible heritage. So, Ms. Phillips, your counterpart in Nevis seem to be on the same page with you.
Excellent. That's what I love to hear. You see that only water divides us, but spiritually we're on the same page. I love it.
One country, of course.
Of course. Ms. Harvey?
Hi. The Intangible Cultural Heritage was just introduced to our department in 2019. We had our first launch. Throughout the past 2 years, we have had several workshops that were held where we trained our different stakeholders in the community, which we now call our ICH network. They actually went out in July to August 2020, where they documented 30 elements here in St. Kitts and 3 elements over in Nevis.
3 elements here in St. Kitts and 3 in Nevis?
13 elements in St. Kitts and 3 elements in Nevis.
Okay.
A few of these elements in St. Kitts that they documented were the storytelling of the Shadow Great House. We also had the cassava bread. Yes, the marble beer making. We had the calabash utensils.
The pottery?
Hello?
The pottery?
Yes, we had the clay pottery over in Nevis. And we also had the vernacular houses. ICH is actually a practice, representation, expression, knowledge, or skills considered by UNESCO to be part of a place's cultural heritage. So the Department of Culture and UNESCO, we basically collaborated to complete this project. We had 4 different phases. We're actually working on phase 4 right now, where we are creating our national cultural ICH website.
Okay.
Hopefully we can still, but hopefully we can come on once more to come and discuss it more. It's in the making. We also...
Anytime you want to update the public on what you're doing, I know that WIN FM will be glad to have you in studio to present.
Yes.
So that's not an issue. It's just when you're ready to present, we got to share.
Okay, great. I just wanted to for you to finalize it here. But thank you.
Okay. Can we hear from Miss Millington before we break for the commercial break?
Okay, sure. Miss Millington here.
Okay.
One of my tasks out of many at the department is to manage the SKNCIR. Now, SKNCIR stands for St. Kitts Nevis Creative Industry Registry, and it is basically a database of our creative and cultural workers here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We can think of it as a virtual directory for those involved in the arts. This initiative was established since 2013, and we're actually in the process of revamping it and currently conducting meetings with the relevant stakeholders to see how best we can combine our efforts to really enhance the registry. Unquestionably, there are many ways and many things we can do to preserve our culture and traditions, in addition to what Ms. Phillips said, and Ms. Harvey with the intangible cultural heritage. Having a national database or directory of our cultural workers and tradition bearers would help to provide support to these creatives by promotion of their work and thus, expanding their network. Ultimately, the registry would also be a method of preservation by having these cultural workers recorded and documented. The site for the registry is actually live, so you can visit www.skncir.gov.kn. And we're also encouraging persons to come and register with us, as there are many benefits to registering, such as consideration for duty-free concession, priority access to skills development workshops with a local, regional, or international, inclusion in the artist directory, and the list of benefits goes on.
Mm-hmm.
And an initiative worth mentioning, which just started this week, is our department's Culture Corner. The intention is to post some interesting facts every week about anything relating to our cultural heritage, be it persons who have contributed significantly to St. Kitts, or any
Culture
event
Corner sounds great. Sounds
Culture
fantastic.
Corner, right? Or any event that had an impact on our culture and history. So be sure to follow us on Facebook at St. Kitts Department of Culture, and we are now on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
Our username is at St. Kitts Culture.
At St. Kitts Culture.
At St. Kitts Culture, that's our Instagram page. So be sure to check out our social media site, as we're gonna really try to post more regularly on social media. So be sure to follow us and make sure your notifications are on, so you don't ever miss a post.
Beautiful.
So yeah. On
that nugget, we're gonna pause for a word from our kind sponsors and come back into a more detailed discussion, because we want to hear a lot of what Ms. Nisbet has to offer and the program that you've just you just gave us a brief synopsis. We want to go into as much detail as possible and edify your people. So thank you, and we pause now for this word from our sponsors, okay?
Pump it up with Quicks. One pump and you're pumping. Dishes done, you're smiling. Pump it up with Quicks. Keep pumping. Pump it up some more. Pump it up. Grease is gone for sure. Pump it up. All your dishes fixed. Pump it up. Pump it up with Quicks. I don't want a dirty sink. Keep pumping up with Quicks now. Clean that sink. Pump it up some more. Pump it up. Grease is gone for sure. Pump it up. All your dishes fixed. Pump it up. Pump it up with Quicks. Pump it up.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
and getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
WINN is 98.9. 98.9 is WIN FM.
Shopping with TDC just got much easier. Here's how. Log on to shoptdcgroup.com. Shop at your convenience at any time, from anywhere, with your smartphone, tablet, or computer. with our safe and secure payment checkout. You choose the option to pick up in-store or have your goods delivered right to your door. It's that easy. Shop tdcgroup.com, your one-stop online store.
Shop anywhere, shop anytime, same quality you love. Now online. Shop www.shoptdcgroup.com.
Once again, good morning to our many viewers and listeners. Welcome to another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, and I'm in studio today with the lovely Miss Janelle Nisbet, and she came across from Nevis. She represents the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, and we've had the Research and Development Unit Officer, Ms. Marlene Phillips, Research and Documentation Specialist. We've heard from the Intangible Cultural Heritage Secretariat, represented by Miss, I was saying Joaquin, but it's Jaquan Harvey. You know, young people name the gamma type, right? And we've had Tushila Middleton all making their brief presentation. So the discussion continues as to what exactly is happening into the Federation on the cultural landscape. Those are very progressive programs that we discussed so far. I was going to ask about the tracking to these websites that you mentioned, because there are times that you put things out there and people show minimal interest. So if anybody can speak about the tracking to these websites, the interest garnered by them, and how the outlook for these programs are developing. So want to once again start with Ms. Nisbet. You are here to represent what's happening on Nevis.
Right.
Talk to us, because until we go over there, we only hear certain things. You're here in person. Let us have it.
Listen, everything is happening on Nevis. There's a reason we say Nevis nice, because lots of nice things are happening over there. From the perspective of the NHCS, I will shorten it because our name is long, Nevis Historical and Conservation Society. We tend to try and promote a lot of our local culture in different, unique ways. So you would find on the last Tuesday of every month, we would have a Meet the Artists at our museum, gift shop, and courtyard, where we would feature local artists whose materials we sell in our shop. So if you're craftsmen who do earrings and jewelry or something along that lines, you would be the highlight of that evening, where we invite guests to come in, explore, buy, support, see, and just, be able to appreciate what you're putting on. So that's one aspect where we try to help keeping that part of culture alive. In addition to that, we have an annual, which it was supposed to be February, but, given the situation this year,
For
and
the past 2 years.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, we have an evening with the arts, where we feature different aspects of culture. And the beautiful thing about our evening with the arts, we're realizing that culture is dynamic, it's growing and ever changing. So
What's the location for those events? You have a performing arts center, right?
no, we do have a performing arts center in Nevis, the Nevis Performing Arts Center.
1 or 2?
One.
Okay.
But we tend to have a lot of our events as well in the courtyard of the museum, because it's such a lovely green space right in town. And sometimes it's good to be outdoors as well. That's part of our culture. Enjoy an evening under the stars.
This happens on the last Friday in every month?
No, the Meet the Artist
Meet the
happens
Artist
on the
happens
last
on the
Tuesday.
last Tuesday
Yes.
in every month.
Yes.
Gotta get my facts right.
Yes.
So if I want to come over there on our Tuesday evening, who am I likely to meet on any given time? Cross section of our cultural, persons. Who am I expected to meet?
Listen, you can meet absolutely anybody there, and you'll meet me for sure.
Okay.
And if we're featuring an artist, you'd meet them. I don't have their list of names with me, unfortunately, but we do have a host of people who we
So you have
promote.
visual artists.
Yes.
You have all those.
Yes, we also have a show that we're planning to showcase at the end of March for our Meet the Artist feature, which is coming back after a long break with COVID. So in March, we'll have our revival, and that one would feature Howard Payne. He's a local artist in Nevis, and he has a collection of artwork that features the old buildings of Nevis from interesting different perspective points, not just stand in front of the building and paint that. So a different vantage point, and they're
he's a visual
beautiful.
artist, okay.
Yes, they're beautiful. It's about 21 or so, so we're going to put on a show that should last for a week. So even if you don't get to come to the launch itself, you'll be able to come into the museum and just be able to appreciate.
Okay, Ms. Phillips mentioned the community outreach program that they've started here in St. Kitts. She mentioned one that's due in Sandy Point on the 24th. And I think the one also feature persons from that area doing presentations and speaking about the history. So it's similar. But I like what you're doing in Nevis in terms of meet the artists, whether visual or, graphic. I like that. And I may be enticed, you see, to come across.
So
and
you might be one of our artists.
imagine that.
We also have a monthly movie night, which is unfortunately has been on pause as well. We are so happy to be getting back to normal, where we feature local filmmakers and people who produce videos locally. So
A monthly movie night.
yes, it's in partnership with NCDF again, and we show it at the museum courtyard or in the Hamilton House, whichever is more convenient at the time. But one of the more recent showcasing was by James Galloway. He would have done a film which I would have actually been an actor in at one point in time.
Actress.
Yes.
Okay.
So, yeah, that one was called Ras Conception, and it's on YouTube.
When is due to show again? Is there a show in plan for that again?
For that particular film, I'm not certain if for that one.
So
but
it's on YouTube. Give it a link because I want to see you. I want
yeah.
to see performance.
The name is Ras Conception.
Ras Conception.
Yes.
Ms. Harvey, or was it Miss Billington who was on last? Miss Billington?
Yes, it was who was on last.
I think it was Millington who was on last.
Yes.
Okay. And you were speaking about some of the programs here in St. Kitts and some that are just unfolding. Do we have anything similar here in terms of what Ms. Nisbet would have spoken about? Like a Meet the Artist night and stuff like that?
I was speaking about our culture corner and the registry and our Instagram page.
Okay. I don't mind you guys, having a discussion about what's happening in Nevis, what's happening in St. Kitts, and you compare notes and we speak about the whole development, etc. But there's a question here I'm supposed to ask, and I think it's self-evident. Here's a question. Is there any organization group responsible for recording aspects of our cultural sayings, recipes, traditions to ensure its longevity?
Well, in Nevis, that would generally fall under NCDF, and we're happy to partner in certain aspects. We have recordings of oral history, which that's a big part of our cultural heritage.
Okay.
So we've actually just sent a number of cassettes off to be digitized because we know we've moved into that era now where we can just upload onto a hard drive so that they can be made more widely available to the public. But I know NCDF is doing a lot of work in terms of recording and retaining a lot of the culture.
Okay, let me pose this question to anyone on the panel from St. Kitts. This question. Okay, respond to that. Respond to that first. To the upcoming other one, last question.
The one concerning local sayings.
Okay, go right ahead, please.
Right. I was just going to make a comment that St. Kitts Department of Culture in the past has published a booklet of local sayings. I think we did 2 publications, and this would have been in the excess of about at least several years ago. And it was in collaboration with a women's group, or not a women's group, but I believe it was an elders group in Cayon, who worked with the Mr. Crichton Pension, who was the former director of culture.
Me, Papa George.
Papa George. So that probably young people are like, huh? Who? But the elders will know Papa George, right? We're just dating ourselves in terms of age, but age is just a number. So that was an initiative that we did undertake. And so there was, I think, 1 or 2 books that were created called Local Sayings, but we have not republished those books yet. So that was an initiative that we did for the very same reason that you're speaking of. How do we preserve these local sayings? And now we're in a digital age where we have, audio recorders, we've got video cameras, and everyone's on the internet. So that's something going forward that we could look at, that topic in particular.
It
local
feeds
sayings.
into the next question. Is there any educational reform to include aspects of a cultural preservation into the school's curriculum?
Well, I listed the initiatives by Department of Culture in terms of the preservation and injecting some kind of education into the system. We have our drumming specialists, our music specialists, and our dance specialists. And they're in the schools, once the schools are open, they're in there teaching dance, music, drumming, steel pan. So these are things that unfortunately, and this is the challenge, unfortunately, they're not part of the educational
They're practical
curriculum.
exercises.
But I could say we push up, we sell into the education system.
The academics of it.
Yes, because we know that it's very fundamental to the development and growth mentally of an individual, of a young person, of a child. It helps us to be, there's scientific proof out there that, playing music, it stimulates the brain so that you retain information longer, which would help with studying. And, it helps your mood. Drumming is something that's very spiritual. You connect to the heartbeat of the drum, and that touches us spiritually. So all dance, you can let go and release tension through dance. So these initiatives that we have put into the school system, we are happy to be there, and constantly there's other schools that we did not mention in our programs who want to be a part of the program. So, but it's not a part of the curriculum. So we have to put that out there that people who understand the value of education, we've got to challenge the curriculum and make them include the arts as part of the curriculum, because to me, this is what helps to form a well-balanced society. But because it's not in the curriculum, we still have a challenge of scheduling. We have to schedule around the curriculum.
With the Ministry of Education, yes.
Yes, and I think there's also a problem with how they view, not just them, but the public in general, how they view
Say again.
performing arts.
Say again, did you say it's a problem how they view?
Yeah, my opinion
It's
is
worded.
a problem how,
It's probably
Yes.
worded. You said exactly a problem how they view, right?
yes, that's let me follow that by, that's my opinion.
It's my
Because
opinion also.
In my observation, being at Culture for about 22 years, the public does not understand that. I'll use the performing arts, for example, which is, music, drama, dance. These can become careers. Our entertainment industry is supported by individuals that have these skills, that play music, that do drumming, that dance masquerade, that create crafts, that create products that we consume, food, drink, etc. And these are businesses. These people who have these talents and have these skills are applying their trade on the side. We always have it on the side instead of looking at it as a viable business.
But here's what.
For somebody to go into and to earn money. So I think the view that it's just entertainment, it's extracurricular activity, it's just for fun, it's not taken seriously as an income earner. Therefore, it's not included as part of the curriculum. And again, it's just my opinion.
Here's what.
Others might differ, but that's fine.
While we ponder the next question, which I'm going to pose, and then we're going to pause for a word from our sponsors, ponder this question, and either Ms. Nesbitt or anyone in your panel can answer it, because it's important and it feeds into what we're discussing. How do we get citizens motivated and incentivized about the importance of preserving our culture, the whole pride thing? And on that note, we're going to pause for a word from our sponsors. Oops. Okay, we're going to continue until the engineer is in. Okay, Ms. Nesbitt,
Right.
Because to me, it's a sense of pride, national pride, being able to ply your trade as a cultural official and not a sideline.
Yes. So one way in which you say incentivize, right? So in order to get people to buy into something as a career and to see it as not just a hobby on the side, we have to stop treating it like that. And in terms of saying we're doing it for national pride, that's great. We love
still
to
hungry.
exactly. You cannot eat that. And so when we're inviting individuals to come and perform at our events, whether it's spoken word or the drumming or steel pan, we have to start budgeting for that as well.
A lot of us don't.
Exactly. You just say, come and please play. And thank you very much. You've
Make a
showcased-
contribution.
Yes.
Or
And
come back 3-4 weeks from now to pay. And the clothing
You're
and
lucky
the
if you
shoes that
get
you're
paid.
wearing cost so much more than that. They don't see that aspect.
exactly.
Right? But we're going to pause now for a word from our sponsor. And when we get back, we delve more into this conversation. This is my topic.
TDC Financial Services. We're here for you to help you make your dreams come true. Whether your needs are big or small, we'll support you with them all. TDC Financial Services. We are strong. TDC Financial Services. This is where you belong.
TDC Financial Services, where money is made easy.
Rams is for you and me. Giving back to community. Rams is for you and me. Better for your family. Better service, better price, better value, better choice. Rewarding you for loyalty. Rams is for you and me. Better price and quality.
Decided what to eat yet, hon?
Yep, almost.
If only this was easy like when we switched to Flow.
Best decision ever. Combining our mobile with Flow Internet
Saving hundreds each month on our mobile.
and getting double data to share for up to 4 lines. My ideas are the best.
Any idea when you'll make this decision?
Yeah, soon. Switch to Flow Postpaid and sign up for internet for big mobile savings and double data as low as $80 per line. Visit discoverflow.co for details. Conditions apply.
Once again, good morning to our listeners and viewers. You're listening to another episode of Voices. My name is Socrates, and today we are in a deep discussion of the culture and the tangible and the heritage rights of St. Kitts and Nevis. And we have represented from Nevis, Ms. Janelle Nisbet, and she's from the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society. And then we have here in St. Kitts, the big, Ms. Marlene Phillips, research and documentation specialist. And she's accompanied by a Nevis Creative Industry Registry, Sheila Millington, Assistant Research and Documentation Specialist, Intangible Cultural Heritage Secretariat in St. Kitts, Jacqueline Harvey, Acting Manager, and these are the persons at the focal point of, I would say, the vanguard of preserving our cultural heritage and educating and spearheading with the forward. So we've had Ms. Phillip. We asked a few questions about how the education reform to include aspects of our cultural preservation into the school's curriculum. How do we get citizens motivated and incentivized about the importance of preserving our culture? Not only in preserving, but making a living for those who are practitioners. The next question, can we introduce an annual calendar of events spread out throughout the year to promote our culture? The answer is yes, but there's a how and a what. So if you want to lead in, or anyone from the panel, the mic is yours.
The answer is yes.
The answer is yes.
As you said, the question is how and what. See, we already have Culture Armor in Nevis, which is supposed to highlight different aspects of our culture for that 2-week
We
mainly
have
period.
folks in the US, in the UK who are listening, and they may have heard the phrase but not quite understanding. So what is Culture Armor?
Culture Armor is our annual emancipation celebrations in Nevis. That's what it was rooted in initially. Over the years, it's become a way to celebrate actively our culture, our freedom, put them on showcase in the form of music, dance.
You mentioned the dates. It's very important.
Yes.
Emancipation.
Yes.
Antigua still celebrate the carnival in August.
Yes.
So does
Anguilla.
Anguilla and Tortola.
Yes.
Most of us, for commercial reason, have shifted the carnival celebration away
Right.
from that August 1st, August Monday, as we used to call it.
Yes.
But August 1st, 1834 was Emancipation Day.
Yes.
And that started our carnival, our annual carnival celebration. So I'm
Yes.
happy that you guys still maintain on that specific date. So back to you, Culturama.
And we plan to continue maintaining on that day because it's important to remember the reason we're doing this in the first place. When we take to the streets for Juve, it's a celebration that we can actually pick up and take to the streets and dance and enjoy our freedom to do it and then go back home and rest. Our ancestors did not have that privilege, and we're enjoying it in the best way we can. Different individuals see Culturama as diluting the culture over the years, but I've always maintained that culture is dynamic, it grows, and it's a shared practice among a group of people. And you still have a group of people sharing and appreciating the current practices. So that's culture for the future generation to come as well.
So those collection of ceremonies are one that you highlight your cultural aspects.
Yes.
Your dance.
We have the
The
traditional.
stuff that were banned.
Yes.
Calypso was banned.
Yes, we have things that were banned that are still banned if we go into different aspects of culture and we talk about things like the Obia Act. That is, again, something that peeves me because that's a part of our culture and it's actually illegal.
What do you know about the Obia Act?
The Obia Act came
Because
into
some
play.
years ago, a recent prime minister banned Obia in St. Kitts. So that's a different discussion. That's why I asked you about that.
So it came into play in the region since the 19th century, 18th century in some islands like Jamaica. And up to 2002, we updated the act instead
I
of...
remember a certain prime minister in parliament banning Obia. Ms. Lee, I'm sorry, no, Martin Phillips. What can you contribute to that whole Obia Act thing?
I don't participate in Obia, so I'm not sure I can contribute anything, to be
The
honest.
discussion, we were talking about things that were banned as part of our practices as African people.
Right. What I would say to that is we have to remember who we are, and we have to be mindful of how we got here. And we have to be, in this world, respectful of people's freedom of choice and freedom of speech, even though we do not condone maybe what they're practicing or preaching. It doesn't mean, when I talk about respect, it means that even if it's something that you don't practice, take the time to research and understand what it's about before you persecute somebody.
That is the
or an
point.
act.
Taking
That's
the
just
time to
my
research and appreciate it. That is the point. And I want to thank you for making that distinction.
You're welcome.
I mean, a lot of propaganda surrounded it for centuries. Actual organized propaganda. You will always have good and bad individuals, and some individuals who promote using it for bad or whatever.
Spirituality.
But
We worship in
it's
spirit.
based in spirituality. It's based in goodness. It's based on these individuals knowing the different plants and using them to be able to heal and help. So just because the propaganda machine was successful doesn't mean we should let it continue lasting into this decade and century.
And I love, just to interject, I love what Janelle said, is we have to remember that it's subjective to human nature. If you look to the origins of Obia and what it represents to the people that practice it, it was never, in my understanding, something that was meant to harm.
Nope.
But as she rightfully said, it's an individual with ill intent, misusing that art form or that religious practice or cultural practice to do evil. I think that's the difference. You know, we have to remember that in everything that we do, you know, and things do evolve we have no control over which way it goes. That this is, the freedom of choice and speech. But I think, we need to educate ourselves and not listen to other people to form our opinions about something. We tend to, what somebody says, we follow, we jump on the bandwagon. We haven't even read for ourselves or researched the history behind something. And I think that's a very dangerous way to operate.
Exactly.
Here's this. There are those who credited the victory by the Haitians over Napoleon and the European armies by working Obia. That was part of the propaganda.
Mm-hmm.
But here's a question. Don't the armies out there pray to the gods before? I mean, like,
exactly.
The English fighting the German, they pray to God for protection. The Germans do the same thing.
Yes.
Pray for vanquishing the other. So we're told that the Haitians are only able to, and it's not that we're told, a lot of us believe it.
Yes, I had a conversation like 2 days ago when individuals said, why are so many Haitians coming? They can stay with the Obia because why is over there always getting hit with natural disasters and stuff? I said, no, you need to read your history because...
Blatant ignorance.
I actually said basically that same thing. You have to know your history because it's not Obia that makes disasters so detrimental to places like Haiti.
Then Japan would be in trouble?
Exactly. I said other places have the same disasters, but it doesn't look as catastrophic because our infrastructure hasn't been destroyed the way that Haiti's was orchestrated globally by France and the US, and then you ended up with deforestation, poor infrastructure, health.
An aspect of our history that we do not embrace and teach to edify your people.
I mean, when I taught history, I thought that was my favorite subject to teach, so my kids should have gotten it by will or by force.
I respect that.
And I love what you said. We need to learn our history.
Our
for far
history.
too long, we keep learning about the European history. What about the history of African Caribbean people? What about
And our contribution.
origins? What about the beginnings of even going back further? If you read how slavery began and the reason why, read the Portuguese history about how and why it actually started and who became deported as slaves. I'm going to leave it at that because the program is short, but just something for you to research, which might shift your perception of what's happening in the Caribbean to us and why. But my colleague Jacqueline Harvey has something to contribute concerning preservation of our culture and how to motivate people motivated about the importance of preserving our culture.
Okay, unless you want to come back after the news break, we got about 2 minutes before the midday newscast. So, Harvey, can you just come in and make a presentation, if you can, within 2-3 minutes?
Oh, yes, sure.
Thank you.
So regarding to citizens being motivated about the importance of preserving our culture, this is basically what the ICT is about. It is about we working on preserving and safeguarding the culture here in St. Kitts and Nevis. We realize that some of our culture is becoming extinct. For example, we have the Mako Jumbies. With UNESCO, they gave us their full support in funding our different workshops that we had throughout the last 2 years, teaching us how to document our ICH here in St. Kitts and Nevis. So we hope that we doing something like this would give some type of motivation to just us, we as a people here in St. Kitts and Nevis. And it would be great if persons can even come into the office here at Culture and give us some ideas about some ICH elements and some of our heritage sites, some of our food, social values, customs and traditions that they think is in need of urgent safeguarding. Thanks.
It would be great if folks can respond to that appeal. Very important because there are a lot of folks who have this knowledge but don't feel motivated or don't really value it that much because it was just something that they did, but of course. So I would like to engage you guys a bit later on after the midday newscast, if possible. I know you're via Zoom and you're all very busy persons, but what you're sharing with the world is so very vital, especially during this Black History Month. So on this note, we will pause to entertain the midday newscast, and I think Ms. Nisbet will continue with us after. I hope you guys can also. In the meantime, it's been very, very edifying. I want to thank you, each and every one, for the contribution you have made to this program, and hopefully we can continue. If not, I can find Miss Phillip on the street and just bow to the Queen and stuff like that. So,
so thanks for that. I will say that if we cannot join the program after the news break, you can definitely find us at Department of Culture. We have a new location, the Circus in the Palm Building in Basseterre, St. Kitts, and come in and talk to any one of our officers, share your knowledge, your information. You can send us an email as well, and definitely log on to any one of our sites to see what's going on and see how to get involved. But thank you so much for this brief moment for us to share the activities that we're doing. We're very excited. And within our limitations, we're doing the best that we can to help contribute to preservation of culture.
Splendid job. Congratulations. And you're free to come to WIN FM studios at any given time, okay? On that note, we pause for the midday newscast.
You found the sound. 98.9. Win FM.
We now bring you the headline news. The headline news is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and National Bank.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Stop standing in long ATM lines to withdraw cash. Use your national debit or black cards to complete a wide variety of transactions at supermarkets, variety stores, gas stations, pharmacies, and more. Shop online at the most popular websites and stores for quality brands using your national debit or black cards. And take back your time to enjoy all the things that you love to do. Remember, instead of waiting in long ATM lines to withdraw cash, use your national bank cards today.
National Bank, always here.
With over a century of perfection behind the Mackeson name, a smooth blend with perfect balance and richness. It's no wonder Mackeson Triple Stout has a legacy of perfection. Enjoy the world over. Introducing our new look with the same great taste. Mackeson. All hail the king.
Please drink responsibly.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Till you walk with a local. Let you take
or 469-5303. Delia Walwyn, people you can trust.
With the Win Headline News, I am Kevon Brown.
And I am Yolana Weeks.
And I am Devon Cornelius.
Making the headlines.
PAM leader refuses to comment on DPP's redirection of Lindsay Grant matter.
Dr. Terence Drew calls for justice in the police grant matter, says that the people have a right to demonstrate.
63-year-old man found dead in his home. St. George's University is moving to incorporate a major IT program in Grenada. Internationally, following the Taliban's takeover in Afghanistan, women's rights are being rolled back, with education being denied to girls and women forced out of the workplace. Now, the details.
Deputy Prime Minister, the Honourable Sean Richards, has chosen to not comment on the ongoing investigation into a matter related to the high-profile incident involving Minister of Tourism and Deputy Leader of the People's Action Movement, the Honourable Lindsay Grant. The matter involving the Honourable Lindsay Grant and officers of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force, which took place in early January, has drawn attention and comments. On Thursday, a solidarity march was organised by social commentator DJ Marisha. WINNFM contacted Deputy Prime Minister Richards, PAM's political leader, who indicated that he had no comment on the matter and earlier said that he will await the DPP's position. At news time, WINNFM was unsuccessful in getting a comment from Commissioner of Police Hilroy Brandy. In a statement issued by Minister Grant on January 11th, he said, quote, "I encourage the police to gather all the evidence and to investigate the full extent of the matter," end quote.
A march spearheaded by Geoffroy Marisha was held on Thursday, February 17 in the capital city, Bastille. The organizer told WINNMedia a day prior that the purpose of the march was to support the police, following an altercation between Minister of Tourism, the Honourable Lindsay Grant, and officers of the Royal St. Christopher and Nevis Police Force. The incident occurred at the Last Lap Bar in early January. The Solidarity March commenced at about 3 p.m. with just a few demonstrators and media personnel. However, as the demonstrators made rounds through the heart of Bastille, it attracted scores of people. Some were calling for justice to be meted out against Minister Grant, while others called for Prime Minister Dr. Timothy Harris to ensure that the matter is dealt with appropriately. The leader of the St. Kitts Nevis Labour Party, Dr. Terence Drew, joined demonstrators at West Independence Square Street, where he too voiced his opinion on the matter between Minister Grant and the police.
Look at what we have here. A police officer who would have carried out her duty, carried out the very law that Mr. Grant had the opportunity to put in place. She acted professionally. She demanded that the protocols be respected. There are people in St. Kitts and Nevis who today can't pay their mortgages, can't send their children to school because they had to respect the protocols. Their businesses were shut down. So how is it a minister can expect some sort of special privilege under the law? He should have been the one to upkeep the law more than anybody else here in St. Kitts and Nevis.
Dr. Drew denounced the threats against the police, calling it a wrongdoing, and insisted that justice be served.
We are saying it is wrong for anybody to threaten the police. It is wrong for a minister of government to use threatening words. We heard the words on the tape, and that is what we are speaking about. And so today, I am asking that justice be served. You cannot be given special privileges under the law. All of us here in St. Kitts and Nevis, we have to respect the law. Had it been you, had it been me, we would have known the consequences for disrespecting the law. And therefore, we are asking that justice be served in this case.
The leader of the Labour Party recalled his silent protest at the government headquarters in January and explained that the people of the Federation have a right to demonstrate.
You can recall that I went and I demonstrated in front of the government headquarters because I wanted to say to you, to the people of St. Kitts and Nevis, that you have the right to demonstrate, to exercise that right, and nobody should frustrate that right.
Dr. Drew said Thursday's demonstration was not about politics, but it was about equal rights and justice and standing in support of the police. He therefore called on the Prime Minister and Minister of National Security, the Honorable Dr. Timothy Harris, to come before the people and clear the air on the matter.
I'm calling on Timothy Harris, nobody else but the Prime Minister, Timothy Harris. He is the Prime Minister, the head of cabinet. He is the one who appoints people to their position as ministers of government. He's the Minister of National Security. So he cannot look to anybody else. This rests squarely at his feet. Where is the investigation that was carried out? When will we know the results of that investigation? We are waiting on the Prime Minister.
The Labour Party leader also called for justice for Minister Grant.
I want to say today that I even want justice for Mr. Grant. I don't want Mr. Grant to be treated unfairly under the law either. He too deserves justice. But the other police officers and St. Kitts in general, we too deserve justice.
The body of 63-year-old Benson Raplin of Old Road was found at his home earlier this week, February 15th. Police received a call after 5 p.m. requesting assistance at Ramplin's home, and upon entering the house, found the man partially clothed in his bedroom. Ramplin was pronounced dead by the district medical officer, and an autopsy has been scheduled to determine the cause of death. The police are investigating the circumstances surrounding Ramplin's death. Anyone with information is urged to contact the Old Road Police Station by dialing 465-6250, their nearest police station, or the crime hotline at 707. WIN will provide more information as it becomes available. In regional news, St. George's University is moving to incorporate a major IT program in Grenada. Primetime Caribbean has that report.
Welcome back, viewers. And big on the home front tonight, Grenada and the St. George's University on Thursday unveiled new areas of cooperation. And that is the major story we are following tonight, so take a look.
The St. George's University SGU has announced that it is exploring being a major school for information technology. At a press conference held jointly with Prime Minister Dr. Keith Mitchell on Thursday, Chancellor of SGU Dr. Charles Modica explained that the intention is to expand the university's curriculum to include information technology and to encourage US-based IT companies to establish subsidiaries in Grenada, which would absorb the Grenadian students graduating from this area of study.
We want to become an IT nation that allows for development of platforms here, coding and all the IT world terms and jobs that you can think of that are right here in Grenada, because we can teach people how to operate in those fields.
Dr. Modica plans to begin pursuing this initiative as early as next week when he meets with Grenada's ambassador to the United States, Yolanda Smith.
I'm pleased to tell you that I am willing to go to Washington next week, as we talked about, and meet the ambassador to the United States from Grenada and work in developing IT companies that should and could be here in Grenada.
The Chancellor said SGU has grown to become a well-respected institution that is now the leading provider of doctors for hospitals in the United States. He's confident that the university can achieve a similar feat with respect to IT.
We want to do it with some of the people, some of the giants maybe in the United States, some of the smaller companies in the IT world. What we have to offer them, and what we will be as we start next week, is telling them that we can provide job training for people from this nation. They're highly qualified, they're smart, and if you don't believe that, you check out the number of doctors in Grenada that graduated from this school. So we have very highly qualified people. We can give them a degree, up to 4 years of a degree, if that much is even needed in some of these jobs.
Prime Minister Mitchell has voiced his full support for the initiative, noting that his administration has always championed the empowerment of Grenadians through education. SGU has also just committed to providing more scholarships to Grenadian students.
Brothers, I recently announced during a meeting of the House of Representatives that SGU will increase the number of scholarships it provides to 122, 100 of which will be undergraduate scholarships for the citizens of Grenada, Carriacou, Fiji, Martinique, and another 22 for medical studies.
The Prime Minister reflected on SGU's significant contribution to the local economy, noting that its growth over the years has led to it being one of the main drivers of growth and a top contributor to the country's gross domestic product.
It is now one of the main drivers of growth in our local economy and is recognized as one of the top contributors to Grenada's gross domestic product, GDP, averaging about 22% over the past 3 years, and in normal times, more than that.
Dr. Mitchell, who is lead head for science and technology in the CARICOM quasi-cabinet, welcomed SGU's planned focus on the area of IT, noting that it is the way of the future, and he cited possibilities for interconnectivity with other critical sectors of the economy.
And today, our purpose here is to further enlighten you, the people, on additional moves by SGU to better align their program offering to the needs of the Grenadian and Grenadian people, and to help create job opportunities so that St. George's University graduates in the fields such as information technology, hospitality, arts, other areas, agricultural activities, and other areas have, of course, been of something that we look forward to.
I am Wendy Chateau with the Carib Update News Service, reporting for News Local.
Stay with us, viewers. More news when we get back.
We now bring you these international reports.
Inside and outside the home, women's rights are under threat in Afghanistan. Hard-won freedoms are being rolled by following the Taliban's victory. Education is still being denied to girls in many of the country's provinces. Women have been forced out of the workplace, and the Taliban says this is only temporary, but Afghan women fear for their livelihoods and in some instances their lives. The BBC has spoken to some who refuse to be silent. Some of the names have been changed in this report. From our correspondent, Quentin Somerville.
How do you erase 20 years of women's rights? In Afghanistan, it starts with billboards and advertising deemed un-Islamic by the Taliban. But it goes much deeper, an attempt to curtail freedoms in public and private that took women here a generation to win. Fatima is an artist and midwife. She's kept her job since the Taliban's arrival, but the walls around her and millions of other Afghan women are closing in.
The Taliban cannot ban me from working in the hospital because they know that it is needed. I humbly request the Taliban, do not meddle in women's rights to education and employment. Otherwise they are amputating one arm from the body of society. Our societies are made of two pillars, a pillar of men and another pillar of women. How can you run your life one-sided and one-handed?
Amira worked in the intelligence service. The Taliban have been targeting former officials like her, and she says she fears for her life, but she's angry at the former government too.
They took back my vehicle and my weapon. The biggest pride for a military is her weapon. It is very painful for us when a terrorist comes and disarms you.
Do you think that the former president, Ashraf Ghani, is a coward?
He was responsible to resist until his last breath, because he was the chief commander of the entire Afghan National Security Forces. A person taking the lead of the National Security Forces must not flee and must stand to the last drop of his blood and to the final moment of his life in the world.
Here in Kabul and all across Afghanistan, Afghan women weren't just gifted their rights by the West. Even under the last government, they had to fight hard to get educated, to work, to achieve any kind of independence. And all of that progress, all of those Hundreds of thousands of individual struggles for freedom vanished the moment the Taliban took power here. But even so, turning back the clock here won't be easy.
What you can't take away from people is that the education that they've already received. And so you've got a lot of like quite educated, smart, ambitious young women who you know, on August 14th were quite successful in their lives and whose existence has now been sort of reduced to you know, being a domestic worker in their own home.
Women are still allowed out. The country is starving. Western sanctions are hurting. So they stand alone in food queues, waiting for aid. This, the Taliban have no choice but to tolerate.
Your sanctions on the Taliban will kill us faster than the violation of our rights by the Taliban. A girl dies from hunger, and a mother either sells her daughter because of hunger or from pressure to marry her by force. The issue of their education and literacy is meaningless when you're dying from hunger.
But the Taliban know that the world hasn't stood still for 20 years. Some of their rank and file support rights like women's education. These men gained power through force, but they need international recognition, which won't come if women are denied the basic human rights that they have in the rest of the world. Quentin Somerville, BBC News, Kabul.
Every month, Hawa Ismail and her youngest son Hamid come to receive food assistance, help she needs to keep him and his other siblings back home fed.
When we tried to farm last year, the pests destroyed it, so we couldn't produce anything. So now we rely on the food distribution to take home and cook to feed him and his siblings.
Hamid is one of hundreds of children who rely on help from the UN's World Food Programme in Al Fashir in Sudan's North Darfur state. Like the rest of the region, it has been devastated by years of conflict. More than 300,000 people have died and over 2 million displaced, according to the United Nations. And like the rest of the country, it's been hit by high inflation. Traders in the market say a bad harvest led to higher prices and fewer people buying.
People come from time to buy, and sometimes they don't buy. The market has been mostly stagnant, unlike the previous years.
Farming in North Darfur was already affected by conflict in the region. Many farmers have had little to no access to their farms because of fighting involving armed groups. Farmers also blame climate change for reduced rainfall, leading to a poor harvest. All that's caused rising food prices, which many cannot afford. The World Food Programme says 1.8 million people need aid to survive, up from 1.4 million last year. Nearly 400,000 of those are school children. The organization says it's trying to adapt to the needs of people, but it faces challenges.
We do not have enough donations to be able to meet these challenges and provide assistance to everybody in need. And we are faced with a terrible and a tragic situation where we have to choose from who receives assistance and who does not. So what we need is more support from the international community, but we also need the government to solve the conflict of this state.
The government says the assistance helps keep children in school and out of the workforce.
We have kids in schools who are as young as 8 who do harsh labour that affects their well-being. That includes girls who face violations, so having a school feeding programme reduces child labour and protects the children because it keeps them from going to work to be able to buy food for themselves.
Hawa says she hopes the situation in the state improves so she doesn't have to continue to rely on aid for her son. But until that happens, she says she'll continue to receive assistance so she can save money for her family for other needs. Hiba Morgan, Al Jazeera, Al Fashir, North Darfur.
Kim Potter sealed Daunte Wright's fate in a matter of seconds. Now, in a Minneapolis courtroom, it's Potter's future that will be decided. Prosecutors are asking for a 7-year prison sentence for Potter, convicted in December of manslaughter. Her lawyers are asking for probation in what they say was a tragic accident.
Remember yelling, "Taser, taser, taser," and nothing happened. And then he told me I shot him.
Police camera video shows Wright apparently trying to escape a traffic stop. Potter fires what she says she thought was a taser. The weapon she drew was her gun. Wright was killed by Potter just as protesters filled the streets of Minneapolis during the trial of Derek Chauvin, a white police officer later convicted of killing another black man, George Floyd. Earlier this month, a Minneapolis SWAT team serving a no-knock warrant shot Amir Locke to death as he rose from his living room sofa, holding a legal gun in his own home. They were looking for someone else. The incident marks the latest killing of a black man by a white police officer.
I don't think these trials are going to make a difference. That we're seeing violence against young black men and women, I don't think is surprising. I think it's alarming, and we do need to get to the root of it to stop this.
Homicide charges are rare in the U.S. for a police officer acting on duty. Convictions are rarer still, and when they do come down, sentences tend to be lighter when the killer wears a badge. After shooting Laquan McDonald 16 times as he walked away from police, knife in hand, Chicago police officer Jason Van Dyke was convicted of murder, but released earlier this month after serving less than half of his nearly 7-year sentence.
Sentencing does matter. It has to set a precedence. Jason Van Dyke was the first Chicago police officer on duty in 50 years to be tried and convicted for murder, period. But what that says is that yes, the activist community and the organizing community in Chicago have been doing great work, but the judicial system in Chicago, the judicial system in Cook County is failing us.
As she hands down her ruling for Kim Potter, the judge can't help but be aware that the sentence in the courtroom will also resonate outside. John Hendren, Al Jazeera, Minneapolis.
You were listening to the WINNFM Headline News on 98.9. Our top stories were:
PAM leader refuses to comment on DPP's redirection of Lindsey Grant matter.
Dr. Terence Drew calls for justice in the police grant matter, says that the people have a right to demonstrate.
63-year-old man found dead in his home. St. George's University is moving to incorporate a major IT program in Grenada. Internationally, following the Taliban's takeover in Afghanistan, women's rights are being rolled back, with education being denied to girls and women forced out of the workplace. Thank you for listening.
That was the WINNFM Headline News. The Headline News is brought to you by Caribbean Alliance, The Grange, KDP Enterprises, Carib Brewery, and National Bank.
Protect your lifestyle with Caribbean Alliance Insurance. Tilly Walwin, a local reputation and service for second to none. Securing you is our mission. People that you can trust, your business, property, we got you covered. Motor or personal, whatever it is, we got you covered. 130 years in this business, we got you covered. For all your insurance needs, visit or call us at 465-2631 or 469-5303. Delia Walwin, people you can trust.
Maybe it's the way the brilliant gold liquid reflects our sunshine, or how the bright blue of its label mirrors the clear Caribbean skies overhead. Maybe it's the fresh, crisp taste of this beastly cold beer on a scorching hot day. Maybe it's even the way it brings us all together. But one thing is for sure, Carib is very much a part of who we are wherever we're from in the Caribbean. Carib, it's the way we play. Drink responsibly.
Did you know that National Bank offers very favorable terms and low interest rate to switch your home mortgage? Our in-house legal department will process your mortgage in a jiffy and free of cost. Switch your home mortgage now and get a peace of mind knowing that we are here for you. National Bank, always here.
Shipping your cargo shouldn't be a hassle. It can be as easy as a single call to Amerijet International, your worldwide cargo transportation solution. We provide all the services you need to ship your goods anywhere in the world, whether your shipment is fresh, frozen, large or small, alive or hazardous. You can count on Amerijet to deliver it safe and sound. Amerijet International, by land, sea or air, we get it there. For more information, visit us online at www.amerijet.com or call us at KDP Enterprises at 466-9595.
Did you know that the Grange Healthcare Facility is the first purpose-built, non-governmental healthcare organization on St. Kitts? It's situated at Otley's, 7 miles east of Basseterre in beautifully landscaped surroundings. The Grange has a team of highly trained professionals and provides care that's rated as being comparable with UK and North American standards. The Grange offers varied accommodations to suit your individual needs, and our all-inclusive packages make the cost of care per hour the most competitive on the island. Services include convalescent care for all ages, daycare facilities for older adults, rehabilitation services, and training and continuing education for healthcare providers. For more information, call 466-5525 or 465-8020. Fax 466-8221 or email thegrangehealth@gmail.com or visit our website at www.grangehealthcarefacility.com.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Value Club Blitz and Valentine's Special.
Running February 10 to the 23rd.
Essential everyday pancake mixes and pancake syrups, $8.99 each. Pure bath tissue, $19.99. Minute Maid punch, $7.99. Sunny Delight drink, $6.99. IGA or essential everyday frozen vegetables, $5.99. Nabisco chips ahoy, $14.99. And now our very low weekly
value deals. Essential everyday ketchup, $4.49. Essential everyday apple juice and cider, $7.99. Suavitel fabric softener, $15.99. Dawn dish liquid soap, $11.99 each. The Colgate toothpaste, $7.99. General Mills cereals, Lucky Charms, Honey Nut Cheerios, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, all $17.99. Shop smart, shop value mart. Joan, in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Good afternoon to all our listeners and viewers, those who enjoy their lunch at the moment, and those who are heading out. I hope you're having a sumptuous and healthy one. My name is Socrates, and we are still hosting Voices. Today is the 18th day of February, and we are still celebrating Black History Month. Today we are focusing on the cultural heritage, the history of St. Kitts and Nevis, and we have in the studio with us from across the waters, as they like to put it, Miss Janelle Nisbet from the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society. We had with us also online via Zoom the research and documentation specialist, Lady Marlene Phillips. We've had the Intangible Cultural Heritage Secretariat. From the Secretariat, we have Jacqueline Harvey from the Nevis Creative Industry Registry. And that's interesting. She's the Assistant Research and Documentation Specialist to Alicia Millington. And we had a discussion that focused on what's happening in St. Kitts cultural-wise. And we have with us still, and I want to thank her for accepting the invitation to stay throughout the duration of the program, Miss Nisbet. We want to open the lines shortly and invite calls from the public, because we hitherto have been just getting that wealth of information, and so we want to engage the public if we can, who want to join us in the discussion in the second half of today's program. The numbers to call would be 466-0989, 662-0989, 762-0989. From the UK, and we just had a little chat with Chris Collins up there talking about dumpling and all kind of stuff.
Best goat water in Nevis.
Best goat water in Nevis.
Cabo.
Yep, and the location. Yes, from the UK we got 033-044-0065 from New York City. And you have that invitation to extend to her name is Rosemary Donald. Never been to Nevis. She's listening. From that area, we got 178-285-6948. From Florida, you've got 305-921-4619. All invited to call and be part of the debate. You're logged on to WINNFM 98.9. WINNFM, well, on the FM dial. Gotta clear the thing there. And so, yes, we open to the public to entertain calls on any topic you want to expound on, but of course we're expounding on cultural matters, but it's called Voices, so now the phone is yours. The mic is yours, as I said. You're welcome to join us in discussion. So, to Rosemary up there in the UK, no, that's New York.
Yeah.
Thanks for viewing, and I spoke to Ms. Nisbet. She wants to extend the invitation for you to come to Nevis, saying that if you come to St. Kitts, you want to get half. Experience.
You want to get half. You got a 2-for-1 package. You have to experience the whole package.
Okay. Brenda O'Neill have been to both St. Kitts and Nevis. She's a travel agent. She's here pretty often. She's up in Charlottesville.
I'm sure she can vouch for what I'm saying.
Yes, and she can speak about the killer bees and all those. And my daughter in Anguilla, Amber, she's been to Nevis also. Hi, Amber, how are you doing? I'm going to send this stuff to you this afternoon. Don't you worry. And all the folks who are on the Globes normally log on. Judith up there in the UK. I hope you're listening and viewing. Welcome once again to Voices, and you're free to join us. For our local, I won't say fan base, or listeners or viewers, please feel to engage Ms. Nisbet or anyone from the Department of Culture, for that matter, in the discussions going forward today. So, I'm not sure if the folks from Department of Culture are still logged on. It was via Zoom call, so I would say it's now up to you. The mic is yours. Send out your invitations to whomever and speak about what's happening in Nevis. You plan your programs, what you plan to do, how this program inspired you or not. It's all yours.
Okay, well, since I'm all you've got, which is a good amount, I'll talk about Nevis. In terms of culture, we're trying to promote a lot of natural culture as well, environmental aspects of our culture. So we have to move away from also thinking that culture is only the staples, music,
Tangibles.
Dance. Even those are intangible as well. But yeah, so we have to look at how we interact with the environment as part of our culture. It's a critical part. If you go to Nevis right now when you're driving through Cotton Ground area, for example, you wouldn't even notice Nelson Spring if you're not from there. You wouldn't even know that it's there, because right now it's being overgrown by an invasive weed called cattails. So that's one of the projects that we're working on right now.
What is Nelson Springs?
Nelson Spring is one of our natural springs. It's fresh, clean, drinkable water that is...
When are we going to rename it?
Well,
because you're telling what it is. How did it come to be called Nelson Springs? There's a lot of history, and the folks who are listening, and because we are a tourism destination, we want to keep that. But still, at the same point, in respecting our contributions in Africa, because we tend to honor the contributions of Europeans during that phase and still figure that that's the best thing for us in terms of marketing.
Indeed.
but there's nothing like honoring your own. So, never mind question. Speak to us as to exactly what is Nelson Springs, how we came by that name, and its relevance today.
Well, we know that Horatio Nelson would have been a frequent visitor there when he was an admiral for the British. He came to the region basically to help enforce their navigation laws and acts, which, you know, for the British Caribbean meant that only British goods should be coming in to the islands. Of course, you have rebels on the island who were trying to get goods cheaper, as we always are, in any decade or century. So you had things coming in illegally from the US and other territories, which that was his role, to prevent that. So during that time, it's not an individual per se that we're trying to honor. The name was given to the spring quite before our time. We just have not contemplated changing
well,
it.
At least people have a bit of understanding as to why it's called that. And was it for the medicinal values of the spring, or what was it? Because the bath spring is different to that, right?
That's a hot spring.
It's a hot spring.
Yes.
That had medicinal value.
Yes.
Has, not had.
Yes.
Okay, so what was the big attraction to the spring?
It's just natural,
clean
pure
spring.
Water,
All right.
which in any society is a necessity.
And is one of your heritage sites.
Yes.
Beautiful.
So right now it's overgrown, and we're making sure that we just got funding so that we can clear out the invasive weeds that are there. We're working on that. They're very aggressive. So that's an ongoing project that already started, but we're going to launch a next phase where we just clear it out, get the community involved, get people back to using the spring, because kids used to go there, splash around, play, do whatever, enjoy the natural species in the area, the birds, the other critical features of that environmental space. So those are aspects that we want to make sure to not overlook when we talk about preserving culture.
Okay. So Rosemary comes to Nevis. What are the highlights you want to present to her? What do you want to say to her about Nevis?
First thing you have to say about Nevis nice. Then you come on the boat. And once you come on the boat, it depends on what Rosemary's into, honestly. There is so much to offer. If she is
she's very culturally based, very cultural sounds, she's very spiritual, so these things would appeal to her. But I'm going to come back to that nice thing. Let's take a call. Okay. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Hello.
Good afternoon, sir. You're live on Voices.
Yeah, good afternoon, the King.
Your humble servant. How about thou?
I'm good, man. I'm good. And you?
Speak with us. We have Ms. Nisbet in the house with us.
Yeah, coming to Ms. Nisbet.
Greetings.
Well, but let me... Yeah, good afternoon, Ms. Nisbet. And the others we have there.
Yes.
The King.
Sir.
Do you know you are the tallest calypsonian in the country?
Last time I checked, yes.
Okay, and when you're on stage, people don't have to ask who in front of them sitting down, driving to Mr. the King, you know.
Quite so.
Right, okay. Now, to the topic that you all are there on, what do you call it? Our cultural.
Well, it's part of the Black History Month. See the discussions. So our cultural heritage, our tangible heritage, just our history.
Right, I like that. The last one, our cultural history. Now, I heard one of the ladies just say that our ancestors, them never had the privilege, like what we have today, to come out and juve. Well, they had more than privilege, because when the music was passing, it was get up in where you're sleeping and come out and take a walk up and go back.
You're talking about our immediate ancestors. I was talking about our more far-reaching ancestors who were enslaved.
Well, we're going to tell you something. Well, once you're enslaved and they got you locked down, you can't come out. So that's a different thing. But this thing about Juve, that is not our Kittitian Nividian culture. Our Kittitian Nividian culture is pajama jamming. Get up in where you're sleeping and come out, wash your mouth and come out and take your jam. And we move away from that and we adopt somebody else's name and call it Juve.
Do you believe that culture stays the same?
Some of it.
So it has to
No,
remain
because-
exactly the same in order for it to be considered culture.
Yeah, but we don't have to adapt nobody else thing about no Juve. Get up and come out
Juve
in the
was a
90s
word
jam.
used
That
to
is- that's the
describe.
beauty of it, eh?
It was a word to describe. It was like the first thing, like the break of dawn, etc. It was a celebration. So the name came into the aspect of it. It wasn't really foreign because a French word. It was a French word. Remember, the French influence in Trinidad was also big and throughout the islands. And there were even Calypsonians who believed that Calypso came from France. The Roaring Lion wrote that Calypso came from France. But of course, he overlooked the French influence in the region and how he had to adopt and assimilate to survive. So I think that Calypso came from France, but he's totally wrong.
You wrong, yes. Wrong. Calypso come from Africa.
Of course.
That's what they portray at Christmas time. All the local acts that they portray out there is Africa it come from.
Well, in Cuba, Calypso was called Quelbe. And they will tell you all the drumming came from Africa. So there's nothing as Spanish music. The rhythms, the patterns may change, but they're all out of Africa.
Now, the fun, let me tell you, let me come down to our dialect. The sauce in our pajama jamming. When you see people, you say, "Miam, look nighty. Look she nighty." But no, what they adapt this Juve business. So everybody know boy in a special suit, pretty up suit to go jam in the morning.
So
let us go back to our culture and stay there. That is our heritage block.
I think like that's an important point that you're making, that people used to do this. So I feel like individuals like yourself who are well aware of the practice, some individuals like me, a younger generation, I don't know about going in your pajamas. I know about going in a short pants and top. So you should, organize some like-minded individuals and come out in your pajamas, revive it. It's up to us.
Pajamas is where you sleep in,
Yeah, well.
If I sleep in a cocos bag, I can put on my bag and go jam in it.
And if you ain't sleeping, nothing.
So
that's a different
using
story.
the word pajama, it mean your nighty then.
Okay.
They call it pajama jamming. You go out in your nighty.
Yeah, so now you need to organize a group of people who come out in their nightie, the pajamas, the stockings, whatever they sleep in.
Well, I can't get chip on the road now because my wheel them puncture. But there are others out there who willing to recreate our culture like that.
Yeah, I
but
can
anyway,
appreciate
thanks
that.
for taking my call, eh?
Much appreciated.
Okay.
Much appreciated. And we go back to the phone lines. Caller 11 voices.
Hello. Are you speaking about culture?
Yes.
Yes,
Right?
most definitely, yes.
I think I might be in line when I say there was a clown show yesterday afternoon.
Where was this? Would this be?
It was a clown show that was probably dubbed a match. It was kind of unbelievable, honestly. And why call it a clown show? Here we have somebody saying, you need to march because you're right to march, or you're marching. You're given more than the time you asked for. So why are you saying, it's your right? You got the right. You're exercising the right, and you're calling for a right that you already have. What's your message? There was no messaging. About 10 people, half of which were journalists. I mean, after all that talk, and after all the talk about arrest, not one word about arrest came out yesterday. After all these days and weeks about, what is going on in our country when people are dying of COVID, when people have such difficulties and economic problems due to COVID-19, and now the ships are bouncing back, so people are getting ahead and life coming back together. And this?
But here's what. Here's what. I understand that it's your opinion, but the fact that the police gave them permission to have their demonstration means that whatever they presented was warranted. We may not agree with their motivation, but the fact that they got permission, because one of the issues, firstly, they did not seek permission. Having done so, granted that by the police, they would have made a case. And is the right whether we agree with them or not,
Democracy is working.
Correct.
Democracy is working.
So you just express an opinion as to how you saw it.
But I'm just surprised that people didn't support the march. There's not one police in the march.
You're happy that they didn't support it.
But there were not one police there.
That you could see.
So,
it was monitored by the police.
That I can see.
But I see what you mean. I see what you mean. You thought that the police would join them because it was a protest about how the police was are not being represented?
Yeah, but the march in solidarity, but no, but their own supporters didn't go. So I don't understand. I've never seen a demonstration so weak in my whole life. Looking at politics and as a student of politics, it's so flabby, disappointing. It's like, what is going on?
These are persons who believe they have been aggrieved and sought permission to go out and demonstrate and express.
And they got it.
Yes.
I'm serious. Is that democracy? That's not my idea of democracy.
You just said it's alive and well.
Democracy is alive and well, but democracy where you're saying this is happened. Well, you see, people went from one message to the next. No one said anything about the rest, and all the time we're talking about the rest. So what is going on? And that's why it's a clown show. All that they needed was the colors and all the jump, and the little, mirror thing on the clothes and so on. What a clown show, my goodness. If we're going to speak of democracy, speak about fairness, speak about equal rights. There's a man, that's called Michael Flynn. And he used to be saying, lock her up, meaning Hillary Clinton. And he went in jail. Watch this space. Thank you.
Thank you, my friend. We do for our station break before we get into the next segment of the program. Let's pause forward from sponsors and get back to center stage, okay? Beautiful.
We're different. We're 98.9. 98.9. Win FM.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Clean, spacious aisles and the highest level of customer service all matter. At Hortsport's Value Mart IGA, price matters most. We've renewed our commitment to guarantee the lowest prices in the Federation. Why? Because we understand that in this tough economic environment, price matters most. Shop smart. Shop Value Mart, where price matters most. Farms Estate Nevis and Wellington Road, St. Kitts.
Price matters most.
Get your property properly covered today. Constructing your dream house or considering renovating your property? We will make sure your property is properly covered at Guardian General Insurance. Yes, at Guardian General Insurance, we will ensure that your property is properly covered with our private dwelling and contractors all-risk promotion. Visit or call us today and get affordable rates, premium financing arrangements. From now until March 31st, 2022, we will properly cover fire, lightning, explosion, thunderbolt, bursting or overflowing of water tanks and apparatus pipes, burglary, theft or larceny, impact by road vehicle, riot, strike or malicious damage, hurricane, earthquake or volcanic eruption, flood, collapse due to subsidence of landslip, loss of rent, cost of temporary accommodation, and much more. So get your property properly covered at SL Horsford and Company Limited, local agents for Guardian General Insurance today. Special terms and conditions apply. Call today at 869-465-9355 for further details.
Welcome back to Voices, and we are in the studio once again with this Janelle Nisbet, and she's here from the Nevis Conservation. I lost my notes, so just correct me.
NHCS.
There you go. And I was asking you if you had a visitor to Nevis who never been here for the first time, what would you say to him or her in terms of your attractions?
Well, we have lots of attraction, as I was saying, from the beautiful, beautiful beaches. I know lots of our visitors, that's the first stop that they want to make. So, of course, we indulge and let you enjoy that sun, sea, and sand.
Mm-hmm.
The cuisine is amazing, as I was just discussing with Collins on the
Chris
line.
Collins,
Chris Collins on the line. The best goat water that you will ever taste will be at Cabo Shop in Fountain in Nevis. So come for that. After you finish that, we can take you to get a signature killer bee at Sunshine.
Signature, okay.
Signature.
So you go from goat water to killer bee.
Yes.
What is your opinion on the national dish? Or do you have one that's distinct apart from what we record as the national dish?
We have the national dish, and I love it. Most people love to eat it. My problem with our national dish is that it's not readily available at restaurants around the island. Because it's complex, man. Just like our society, it's complex. You have a lot of different elements. You have the saltfish, the plantain, the coconut dumpling, everything. So you can get different aspects of it, but only around Independence do you really
How many
get.
dumplings would I get on the plate if I order the national dish? How many dumplings would I get?
Boy, for you,
Okay.
for your size, about 4.
For dumplings. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Hello, good day.
Good day.
Good
Welcome
day.
to the program.
Today I would like to give thanks. Many times we would call in and we complain, but we don't give thanks.
Beautiful.
I want to thank Mr. Austin Powers, who is a safari driver, who tried his best to help small businesses on the side, as you put it, and for standing up for me this week when he saw something that was wrong by another safari driver.
Okay.
Mr. Powers and his other half, as much as he can, would stop to make sure that we who sell on the side
Are you a vendor?
get something. I am a small business person.
Okay.
When other safari drivers would pass and not look over and not look back, Austin Powers would stop when he can. It's not all the time that he could stop. And we as small business person, or vendors as you call us, appreciate when we get help. He had to tell another safari driver this week that the lady has electricity to pay. She has water to pay. She has children. And when you're going to come and ply your trade, the same place that she's plying her trade, that's not right.
I know what you're talking about.
And so I want to thank Mr. Austin Powers again for all the help that he has given me over the years. He is the only safari driver that I know of, you could correct me if I'm wrong, who doesn't carry drinks on his truck.
I don't.
And who don't stop by the supermarkets and pick up their drinks and then walk up to people's business and tell them you don't have to buy
That's wrong.
because we have drinks on our truck.
That's wrong.
And they're free. And at the same time, they would come and tell me it's all in the package. Austin Powers doesn't do that. And so I would like to thank him and bigging him up on behalf of the other vendors or small business person that he helped. So thank you for listening.
Much appreciated. And I'll speak to that, if I may, for a second. Let me take this call first, and then I'm going to come back and address that. But thanks for your contribution. Is the caller still there? We lost the caller. Good day, caller. You're live on Voices.
To you. Socrates.
Good afternoon, sir.
Greetings in the, yes, greetings in the name of Jesus Christ, the only Savior of sinners, and who is the second person of the eternal Trinity.
Yes, sir.
Now, Socrates,
sir.
I'm calling you all mentioned about Obia,
Mm-hmm.
and I have to say something about that.
Go ahead, sir.
Because the Bible condemns Obia, voodoo, witchcraft, the occultic practices, and so on, as of Satan and wrong. Not because something is cultural or African or European or Chinese or whatever makes it right. Anything that goes against the Bible, be it from Africa, Europe, Asia, China, North, South America, it doesn't matter. It is wrong once it goes against the Bible. Only the Bible tells us what is correct and what is wrong. And that is what we learn from the Bible. And Obia, voodoo, the occultic practices, and you name them all, the Bible condemns them all as wrong and are of God. And not only that, the Bible also tells us truthfully, God, the Bible as originally written is the perfect word of God, inspired word of God, and it is all sufficient for all of life and for all of human existence, the Bible that is. And it shows us, one of the things it shows is that people and nations and that sort of stuff that practice these things and practice sin on a whole, God in his own time will punish them and destroy them if they do not repent. Haiti.
Don't do that, Gregory. Do not do that, Gregory. Do not do that.
I'm going to because I tell the truth, and somebody must tell the truth. And I'm going to tell the truth once I'm given the opportunity. Haiti, like many other countries, like all other countries, when we engage in disobedience to the word of God, God in his own time will punish them. And I think this is one of the reasons why Haiti is going through the problems it's going through, and not just Haiti, but other countries around the world are going through the different problems. And it ain't just, I won't just blame voodoo alone when it comes to Haiti. I will also blame the Roman Catholicism as well, because Roman Catholicism is also a curse as well.
Would you blame the French at all? Would you blame the French at all for what is happening in Haiti?
Yes. All wrongs, because even in France, the French Revolution was a hell of a big curse and destruction on France. The French has been very wicked. So yes, they do get a lot of blame for going Haiti, and also for what happened in
British,
France during
the Spanish,
the French Revolution,
the Portuguese,
and other times.
the Arabs. I mean, like, where do you stop?
Hello?
For those who push the narrative that the Haitians are suffering because of the practice in voodoo,
and Roman Catholicism and that sort of stuff.
for those who talk about Haiti is suffering because of voodoo and the practices, which is a spiritual thing, and we were told by...
devilish thing.
Okay, great.
I'm here.
Yeah, I'm not going to engage with you because you have taken your position, like many others who believe what you choose to believe, and I'm not here to get you into a long, engaged argument about that. I happen to know better. You believe what you want to believe is your opinion. I understand what you're saying. But the interpretations, because the Bible speaks about certain practices, homosexuality. We accept it here, around the globe. What's happening with that? So you can't cherry pick.
Nations are suffering because of that. I believe. Look at Canada. Look at what happened in Canada. Look at the draconian measures in Canada. Look at draconian measures in Australia. And other places. I believe it's because of the legalization. Well, not legalization, but I believe it is because of their praising.
I appreciate the fact that you keep noting that it's because you believe. And that's a key part. I understand and appreciate that you keep noting it's what you believe. And that's a key point of your argument because it's solely based in what you believe. Some of us are willing to go out and educate ourselves and look at Haiti, religion, Obia, voodoo, and actually evaluate that these were spiritual practices. These were not, as you say, devilish or witchcraft. These practices were rooted in individuals in these societies being leaders, being healers, being the ones who have knowledge of different plants and medicines so that they can treat individuals within their communities. They were the ones who inspired and prayed and comforted and gave advice.
In ceremony. Like we go to church and we're told, this is my body, this is your blood, eat and drink it. Isn't that cannibalism?
Right.
No, it's not. It's not.
When you
It
get
is not.
when you get the Holy Spirit, is that considered witchcraft? No.
No, it is not.
Okay, well,
No, it is not.
it's the same
Because
concept. We have to learn
Hello?
to not only appreciate our own beliefs and religion, even if you don't want to practice others, you have to be able to see the value and that it's not some doomsday practice that you're making it out to believe. Haiti suffered severely at the hands of the French, the British, the Americans.
And our own collective ignorance.
Right.
Yep. But what you feel, what y'all are failing to realize is that when we live in disobedience to it, because what I'm saying is what the Bible teaches. When we live in disobedience to the Bible, as we see over and over again, for example, Isaiah chapter 10, for example, what you find is that God raised up nations that are evil and wicked to punish you. You see, God doesn't necessarily come down himself, and you see him punishing you. God sent other nations that are even more wicked and evil than you.
We should all be up in flames at this point because all the nations around the globe, St. Kitts Nevis, Africa, all the African countries, the US, the UK, France, we're all sinners according to the Bible.
That's why we should
when you're
repent.
coming back.
So
but that is why we should repent, not being up in arms. But
so that
is why
means
we
the
should
whole
repent.
world needs to go up in flames and start afresh.
No, the whole world needs to repent, because if we don't repent, the whole world will go up in flames.
I mean, well, if we're sinning, it might be time.
No, we should repent, because what God says, if my people turn to me and repent, he will turn to them and heal their land.
Okay.
He will take away his wrath, and then once we turn to him in full, true godly Christian repentance, and that's what we need to do.
I mean, it's a pleasure. It was a pleasure talking to you. And like
Hello?
I said, it was a pleasure talking to you today. I appreciate your views on the culture because religion is a big aspect of our culture, and Christianity was brought to us here in the region along with our ancestors who were forcefully brought here from Africa. So it was introduced by force, and it's now a staple within our region, which it's practiced and embraced by a cross-section of our society, and it does a lot of good for individuals. That belief system is helpful and useful to get moral and just development within our society. So it's great.
Yep.
But at the same
But
time, we value the culture that was brought and retained by our African ancestors as well.
Thank
you. But let me tell you a little piece of history here. Christianity has been over 1,000 years before the Atlantic slave trade in Africa. You had such men like Augustine, Athanasius, Penelope, that famous lady, Christian lady, and many others, Alexandros, and many others who were Christians, strong Christians in Africa, over 1,000 years before the Atlantic slave trade.
We accept that.
Christianity ain't nothing new to Africa. Hello?
We accept that. We're not disputing that.
Yeah. So what I'm saying, black people has been Christian long before in Africa, before the slave trade began.
Yes, sir.
Yes. All right. Pleasure talking to you. We're going to let some other callers
Thank
get
you
in.
for your contribution, Gregory. I enjoy the rest of it. Any other calls on the line? Okay, Ms. Nisbet. We forget where we were, but go right ahead.
Oh.
And we pause to entertain this call. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Good day, the King.
Good day, sir.
And good day to your guest.
Good day.
Miss Nisbet.
This is Journey.
I know it's Johnny.
I'm trying to contain myself by not being furious here. But let me say
breathe deep breathe and then compose.
Yes, I already inhale and exhale. To Gregory, my brother, let me say this. Our ancestors was in harmony with nature and with the cosmos and the ecology. You know, the Bible teaches us that the Creator said, by every herb of the earth you shall eat.
Praise Him.
That was our ancestors. Our ancestors studied the cosmos and the ecology. And when our ancestors, our ancestors known as Vudon, when those creatures came into our space, they are the ones who have now taken what our ancestors had, and demonize it and call it witchcraft. But let me ask Gregory this question. What are the pharmaceuticals them using our ecology into the lab to develop what we now call medicine? What craft is that? What craft are they using to keep us using our ecology and keeping us submissive by never curing our ailment? You see, we have compromised everything. Our culture, our spirituality, our tradition. They broke us terribly from all these things. They broke us, but they give us the names. We weren't allowed to read. Why? Because our ancestors were so great in the ecology of the earth. And they demonize that and call it witchcraft. Gregory, what craft are they using today? Even in our present space with COVID and Omicron. You know, let me say this, the King. Do you know how much the black community spent in 2021 during the COVID?
Educate us.
$1.3 trillion the black community has spent. Pharmaceutical globally have tripled that amount in 2021. So, you know, and let me say this. Gregory said that God has set up nations to punish others. Who is this God? For all that we have in the book, Gregory, is what man wrote and said God said. Who witnessed God say this? Who witnessed Jesus when he was tempted for 40 days and 40 nights? Gregory, was there a witness there? Who witnessed Moses went up into the mountain and bring down the commandment? These are questions we need to raise our consciousness about. Because when they put in the book that God set up nation to punish, Gregory, we are the gods. The Most High created us, and we create ourselves in the duality between male and female. There is no masculine, as the book tells us, that create life. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost. Gregory. The duality between male and female, because the book says we are gods. Jesus himself said that. But I want you, Gregory, to know the story where Jesus and the Immaculate Conception came from. Because what we have is in the narrative of those who conquer and slaughter our people. Yesterday on a different station, the King, and I'm going to finish now. Let me say good afternoon to Mrs. Henry, because I think she's listening too. A gentleman calling on Frank and Candid and say that we must be born again. But yes, we are familiar with that passage of scripture that says you must be born again, with the conversation between Nicodemus and Jesus. Well, here's how we were born again. Nicodemus asked him, can a man grown enter a second time into the womb of the mother? To be reborn again, Gregory, is to know the knowledge of self. Our history was hidden from us by these creatures. So to be born again is to know the knowledge of self that is infinite. Our ancestors have knowledge that was in harmony with nature, Gregory. So please, get rid of this narrative of those who slaughtered our ancestors and tell us that, you know, you have to be washed into the blood of Christ.
Okay,
again.
Johnny, look at the time, please. Look at the time constraints. And we do appreciate your contribution.
Thank
It's
you for
very
hearing me,
timely.
King.
So thank you very much.
This conversation needs to be continued.
I figured so.
Thank you so much for your contribution.
All right. You go ahead, because you have much to offer. And how do you respond to that? Because culturally, what do you teach about the soursop tree in Nevis?
Well, I'm no expert in that, so I just eat the soursop.
There's been research as a cure for cancer. We know that
yes.
it's good for insomniacs. And the
Yes.
stem of the soursop tree we used to give to kids to prevent bedwetting, stuff like that.
Yes, I do remember
That
that.
should be part of a conversation.
And you got some of the bush to some tea to go to sleep. Yeah.
Yeah.
To-
So insomniacs,
yes,
you
yes,
can't sleep.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. You have a next caller? Okay, let's take this call and then we'll let Mr. We'll ask the caller. Yeah, we knew that mothers would give their kids soursop tea, soursop leaf tea when they want to go to a party.
Right.
Kids gone to sleep and they're gone. Some would rub Vicks under the eye.
Yes.
We would take the call. Call the 11 voices.
Hi, the King.
Good to see you. Good to see you. How are you doing?
Good afternoon, sir, and good afternoon to your guests. Miss Nick.
Good afternoon.
Yeah.
Patience is a virtue of mine, so I need not to say certain things. Good afternoon to all that are listening. The King, can I have permission to speak?
Most certainly, sir.
Thank you. I will be brief.
Thank you.
I want to say something to a conversation, not you, Mr. Cornelius was the host. To Gregory, he wants me to give him my source. He gave his source about the dictionary, the Oxford Dictionary. I am giving him my source as to where we can find linguistic, some of the languages that predate the Greek language and the Latin language, and even the language, the modern language that they call Hebrew today, which is the Yiddish, German Yiddish version of the Paleo aspect of that language. And the name of the gentleman, his name is Dr. Nana, N-A-N-A, Banchi, B-A-N-C-H-I-E, Banchi Darkwah, D-A-R-K-W-A-H. The name of his book is The Africans. May I reiterate that, the title of his book?
The Africans?
The Africans who wrote the Bible. Not the translations, the various translations, the authentic Bible. Thank you. One last thing. Gregory, you are familiar with the Bible where this woman who they call the witch of Endor used the same method to raise
Saul?
Samuel?
Is it Samuel or Saul?
the seer
Samuel. Yeah.
From the dead, so that Samuel could have told the fate of Saul. After that, they saw it fit to demonize the lady as a witch, in which the word witch came from the old French, had nothing to do with those ancient languages. Thank you. First, Proverbs chapter 18, verse 18. Number 1, 7. First Samuel 9, verse 6 to 9 to 9. Second Kings 8, 8. Divination, casting lots. It's nothing you're familiar with, Gregory. You remember when they cast lots for Jesus' garment? That was the way of resolving, interrogating. It's called divination, and it's Afa or Fa or Ifa. You check it out and see who practices it today in its authenticity. That's all I have to say, the King.
Thank you very much, sir. And it gets this way at times because these guys do the research. They are passionate about their beliefs, and we engage because it's called Voices.
Right.
Even though we're discussing issues of culture, it's all part of the
It's
the
part
debate.
of the culture.
All right, and I want to thank you for responding to Gregory in the way you did. I am thinking that you should be here a little more often. But you continue. If you remember where we were.
At some point, we were talking about the blessings that Nevis has to offer. So I can't let the conversation end without encouraging individuals to visit the museums that we manage at the NHCS. So it's right in Charlestown on the bayfront. And you come to our museum. It's a museum of Nevis history. It's believed, based on our oral history and oral tradition, to be the birthplace of Alexander Hamilton. And so we just have a lovely museum package there that you should come and embrace and see.
Okay. Let's take this caller, and I want to talk about Alexander Hamilton before you leave, because a lot of folks think that he was white. Caller, you're live on Voices.
Good afternoon, the King of Calypso, and good afternoon to your guests in the studio, and good afternoon to your listeners for the radio of Win FM.
Yes, Raz,
I
go
just
ahead.
listen to your program. They are very vital and impact to the documents research of the ICH. And I thank for them to come in on the air to give some highlight of what the work are doing in both St. Kitts and Nevis. But I would like to emphasize something that I heard Gregory say, and I don't think that Gregory put the thing right to the core, because African people don't practice witchcraft. They practice high science. We must, the Virgin, I alluded it in the cosmos and in the elements of the nature within us and around us.
Correct.
And we as a people, as African people, can't run away from that. But true enough, white people influence, or European influence, let me put it in that format. European influence have bring us to a detail of making us be fear of who we are as a people. That's why you see us here are conforming ourselves in our form of religion. Once we go into the spiritual aspect of our ancestors, we know who we are as a people, and we transform ourselves to see our generation going forward, to make sure the world is safe from all perils and dangers. We are not born in sin. It's how we have informed it to see how we have detailed from our history. History will give us our reward. Remember the quote of Malcolm X, so our people cannot be lost of who we are. Give thanks.
Thank you for the contribution. We're going to pause now for a word from our sponsors, and then let Ms. Nisby deal with the wrap-up and answer the question about Alexander Hamilton's heritage.
Horswood's Building and Nevis Centers continues to make your lawn and gardening easy. Go to Horswood's Building and Nevis Center now and get 25% off store-wide on the entire lawn and garden equipment. Yes, for the months of February and March, Horswood's Building Center and Nevis Center is making improving your lawn and garden easy with 25% off garden supplies, garden equipment, garden accessories, including weed eaters, lawnmowers, and much more. Get 25% off all lawn and garden items happening now at Horswood's Building Center in St. Kitts and Nevis. Horswood's Building and Nevis Centers, making home improvement easy. Terms and conditions apply. See store for details.
Horsford's Value Mart IGA Value Club Blue Tag Valentine's Special.
Running February 10th to the 23rd.
Essential everyday pancake mixes and pancake syrups, $8.99 each. Pure rhubarb tissue, $19.99. Minute Maid punch, $7.99. Sunny Delight drink, $6.99. IGA or essential everyday frozen vegetables, $5.99. Nabisco chips ahoy, $14.99. And now our very low weekly
value deals. Essential everyday ketchup, $4.49. Essential everyday apple juice and cider, $7.99. Suavitel fabric softener, $15.99. Dawn dish liquid soap, $11.99 each. The Colgate toothpaste, $7.99. General Mills cereals, Lucky Charms, Honey Nut Cheerios, Cinnamon Toast Crunch, all $17.99. Shop smart, shop Value Mart. Joan in Spanish.
Sea listo y haga sus compras aquí a Value Mart.
Welcome back to Voices, and I'm here with Socrates. I'm taking over his role as host for this 30 seconds. Tell me if I should replace him. When FM, let me know. Call me.
There you go. You go ahead.
Hi, you're on the air?
Very good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Lady Henry.
And I was trying. Anyway, you're going to leave Brother Greg, you know. To high science.
To high science or be a witchcraft?
Give it to them. Because the question is, at what point did it go from just African spirituality to high science? And we all know it is used for evil. I mean, there's not getting around it.
But to say that's the reason why Haiti is having those issues, I will not accept.
No, I'm not talking about that. It's the definition.
Okay.
Where you all are describing voodoo. I mean, you could read the stories in Haiti. People declared dead, the walking dead, and I mean, what good is that?
But at the same time,
I think we need to differentiate between those who practice traditional medicine. You know, we need to separate it from the evil side.
if you look at religion like Christianity even.
Christianity have different sects and things.
Exactly, but if you look at it as a
Yeah, because
complete
let me
whole,
go
you
back to
have
Haiti.
some individuals. See the recent case in Jamaica where the pastor had
you
people
call that
being
Christianity?
sacrificed. But that's
What
the,
is it?
but that's how some people who practice Obia and Voodoo
know,
would
but if
say,
you
like,
describe Bible,
you call that
Christianity,
Obia?
nothing like that.
But
A lot of
exactly.
people camouflage.
So the traditional
high
practices
science
of
then.
Obia and Voodoo would probably look on those who are practicing it for evil and say that's not our true
Correct.
practice.
Well,
Same
the
with
people who
Islam.
practice
Yes.
it and so they should clearly define it, let the people know.
It is clearly defined, and people like
Are
me
the
are
people-
here to let people know.
What you know about it?
And there are sources out there, a whole cross section
Well,
of
I mean,
sources.
the Nevian culture is an intangible asset in Nevis too.
Yeah, but it's there. It's a part of the culture. It's an oppressed
Anyway,
part of the culture.
I don't want to prolong that. I want to ask a question.
Sure
Two
thing.
questions. Now, when I was growing up, a lot of boat building used to go on.
Mm-hmm.
Those of us who live in Bastille, under the almond trees, them.
No time by what?
Yes, they used to build all those big sailing boats and fishing boats,
Mm-hmm.
and the Nevis, they made them.
Yes.
What is the position today? That's what I wanted to know. Because, in Carriacou, they celebrate the boat building aspect of their culture.
Right.
And Gwilla too. So what is
Yes.
it in Nevis
So it's
and in St. Kitts?
It's a practice that's fast becoming a little under-practiced, and that's why it shouldn't be.
Teaching, maybe the older ones teach.
That's the idea. But on our part at the museum, what we're aiming to do, the project is beginning this year. It will not end this year, but we are converting our once Nelson Museum into a maritime museum. It will still have a Nelson collection.
And a man of the village named Mr. Lance.
Right.
Although Lance work in the bank, he made some of these vessels, like for the little whirlwind that used to go out to the ship.
Yes, so we plan to highlight that art form, that aspect of our culture, our history.
Because some
and
of the young people,
hopefully-
maybe they think that they imported them, but they were made here.
So we can
Now, the
hopefully
next
pass
thing
on.
about Nevis and St. Kitts is the stone ovens. Have you all looked into the issue? When I was growing up,
They're falling into disrepair.
The same
Money.
lady they called Auntie Bertie, Alberta Payne,
Mm-hmm.
or Bat Village, she was our relative. And she had a stone oven, and she used to bake the cake and the coconut tart and bring them down.
We had one too.
You had your family?
My family had one too.
That's good. What became of it? You all assembled it?
Migration.
Now, what became of it?
It assembled years ago because we traveled. We went to the US very, when you come back.
Village too. I live right next door to one.
Yeah. But we had
Not
one we used to
everybody
bake.
going gas and whatever.
Correct. They had to go to the mom to get the wood and come down and all that way
when
to
they
hold
take
it.
down the old houses,
Mm-hmm. You had
So
that wood for them?
we are losing. I mean, everybody wants a more economical way. But maybe if you could chronicle, maybe go out and see what is left standing and take pictures and ask questions, because they did a lot of work.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe it could discourage the assembling of them, because people taking them down for the same reason, taking them down for the stones.
Yes, a lot of people are doing that. And we're working hard to discourage that on Nevis end, and I'm sure that the St. Kitts National Trust is doing the same on the island, because it's a major problem.
They
All right,
tried
keep
to
up the
stop
good
that
work,
issue in
'cause
Old
I
Road.
like history and whatever. I want a book, but.
Sister Henry, we want to thank you for that contribution. The show is never complete unless we hear from her, with countering some idea concept that one of the previous callers would have done. So, but the program is never the same without her contribution. So you've got about 2 minutes to wrap up.
All right.
Nisbet.
It was a pleasure being here today with you, Socrates. Culture is such an important aspect of our general country that we have to be able to discuss and plan and take an active decision to protect and preserve it. So the first step in a lot of things is to have a conversation, to sensitize the public about what's happening and what needs to happen in order to make an actual difference. So we were able to discuss some areas and groups that are promoting culture in Nevis, for example, the Nevis Culture and Development Foundation, NCDF, as well as our society, the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society, as well as a lot of other private institutions and groups. You have like the Black Circle drummers in Nevis. Like they do a lot of work in order to promote and keeping that aspect of culture alive. I feel like we have some challenges in that, although we are able to introduce these aspects of culture into the schools at the primary school level with enthusiasm and support, as you get to the secondary level, it dies off a bit.
Within 30 seconds, why do we need to preserve it?
We need to preserve it just because it's enjoyable. It's good to know your history and where you're coming from and what your ancestors valued, so that you can pass it on, so that you can have that connection. Even when they're gone, you have that connection to those who came before you.
Does it not also speak to our survival as a people? Things we had to endure? How we had to assimilate, adopt, and...
Exactly. There's a creativity versus continuity debate that I cannot discuss right now. It discusses whether, African cultural traditions in the Caribbean were actually created as a result of slave trauma versus whether it continued from what we brought from Africa. That's a whole other discussion. But yeah, we have to be able to connect.
We want to thank Ms. Marlene Lee from the Department of Culture and what she brought in terms of contributing to the debate today. And we had contributions from Tolisha Millington, Ms. Jacqueline Harvey, Ms. Marlene Lee, and of course the lady of the hour, Ms. Janet Nisbet from the Nevis Historical and Conservation Society. And just before I get fired, I want to say good afternoon to Amber, to Zara, and Cleo over there in Anguilla. I wish our viewers and listeners a lovely rest of the day and a wonderful, safe, and enjoyable weekend. Any parting words?
It was a pleasure being here with FM. Call me if you need me to replace Socrates.
Imagine that. On that note, we said tap, 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 tap.
Supermarket shoppers understand that convenience matters. At Hortsford's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most. Ample parking and the widest variety matter. At Hortsford's Value Mart IGA, we know that price matters most.